you're talking to us about the capacity in this process of healing.
Well, I believe that the word capacity is a very powerful word, and it's one that I have leaned toward very strongly during my process. And the word capacity is being able to house something in its fullness and getting to the fullest of the potential. Like, if you hold up a glass and you fill a glass full of water, you can keep pouring all you want, but the glass will only be able to hold its capacity, what it was designed to hold. And so when I began to go through my process, I had to stop first and begin to categorize all of my friends and my family members. I mean, I had to do a very powerful assessment, and that's the one thing that I encourage upon any tragedy that you may encounter, anything that you may be going through that is dramatic. I have a little saying that I've found to be true, and for so far, I think it is still working, but it's my own little philosophy, and I say this all the time, and I've been saying it for about a year now. The person that grabs a hold to you in the conception of your trial will be the person that determines how you come out of it. And so many times you will have a situation where you may lose a loved one, and it may be in a traumatic way, and the people that grab a hold to you, and it's in the oh my God state, in the state of devastation, in the state of feeling sorry for yourself, or the state of how can you go on without them, and how you gonna make it without, they will put you in a mindset that you become locked in, because at that moment you're most vulnerable. And it doesn't matter whether or not, I think I want to really take my time to explain this, at your point of vulnerability, you have individuals, whether or not the spirit that they've come in is a right spirit or a wrong spirit, it is a stronger spirit than the one that you have at that time.
Okay.
So an individual can see you going through something, and you can be vulnerable, and they can impart the posture of bitterness in you, and it'll frame your spirit to the point that you'll find yourself fighting more against people than you are fighting to survive.
Yes.
And so I think in that case, when you look at capacity and who grabs a hold to you, you have to begin to analyze and categorize your relationships. For example, I have some friends, I've lost some friends in this process because I refuse to be handled in the damsel in distress posture. I've lost some friends in this process because they don't understand my stand for integrity, my stand for righteousness, my decision not to be slanderous and not to be bitter. I've lost some friends in this process because they didn't have the capacity to walk where I was walking. Meaning, you have to categorize them. This is my mall friend. When I want to go to the mall, and I call her, we have a good time. When I want to go and drink some coffee and really analyze and speak theologically about my situation, I have friends that I do that with. When I want the friend or the individual that would help me refocus and help me to keep pursuing what God has called me to do, then I embrace that friend. And so now that you know the capacity of everybody around you, you don't become guilty of mishandling and misinterpreting what you have available to you, and then expecting people to give you something that they don't have the capacity to give you. And I think that, when we learn that, it will make the process a whole lot better for us. I have some of those friends that when I just want to just fall out and cry, they just let me cry. And when I get through crying, they said, okay, now you got to get up and keep going, And so once I've learned that, then I know who I can have around me, and when I get through crying, with an understanding. And that's the thing about it. You don't want to take your right to have an emotion away from yourself, but you want to cry with an understanding. So when I get through crying, I know that when I get through blowing snot in the tissue, and put my head up under cover, I know tomorrow I got to come and do the WAOK talk show.
Dr. Bynum, I want to learn today from this powerful message that you're giving us. And I'm a pastor's wife. There have been times in my life when I needed somebody in my life to be a friend around me, when I wished I would have had the opportunity to be able to have people that I could have categorized, but I was alone.
Right.
There wasn't anybody. What would you say to somebody like me during that moment when I'm an only child, I don't have any children, no brothers and no sisters, in my pain, in my need for healing, for whatever, there was nobody but me. What does somebody like that do?
Well, I think that when you really dissect it, and I'm in this whole dissecting thing because, I think when you take time to dissect your situations, you won't live a life of panic, and you won't live a life of, oh my God, you have your moments where you feel it emotionally, and you really have those moments. I mean, I had one last night, one of those in the bathroom crying and, but the bottom line of it is no matter how many people you still have around you, I want to even encourage you that every individual that will go through whatever they go through, even though you may have the right levels of friends around you with the right levels of capacity in them, you are still alone in that situation because it is your trial. It is your turn to be tried. It is your turn to be tested. Like the book of 2 Corinthians tells us that everything, whether it be made of gold, straw, silver, or hay, it will be tried with fire to see what manner of thing it is, to see whether or not it was wrought in God. So the bottom line of it is when it's time for you to be authenticated. Now, you're a pastor's wife. There are a gazillion pastors' wives. There are a lot of pastors' wives that God never called them to be pastors' wives. There are pastors' wives who hate that they're pastors' wives. There are pastors' wives that are propped up with the pretty hats on and the nice jewelry. But when it's time for God to authenticate your calling, He will do it by fire. Yes. He will do it by rage and by fire, so that not only will the people know, but that you would know without a shadow of a doubt, God called me. Now, when you talk about being alone, until there is a way, supernaturally, which I haven't found that way yet, that another individual can step inside of your spirit and step inside of your heart, then in that sense, you will always be alone. And that is a good thing, because what happens on the inside of you is the conversations that your inner man is having with you. Yes. It is the voices of negativities. It is the voices of what is positive. It is the voices of what is a lie and what is a truth. And so then you have an opportunity to grow. And you grow from within. And in growing, it comes a time when you have to call the lie in your head a lie.
Yes.
There comes a time when you have to speak to depression and say, I don't receive this. Right. There comes a time when you have to look in the mirror and say, I know what you feel today, but I know what God called you to be. And you look in the mirror like David did and say, I'm going to encourage myself in the Lord.
Oh, yes.
What that does for you, woman of God, and what it does for me and so many people that are listening, it allows you to lose the false dependencies on people to get you there. So that any given time when your best friend can't get the plane and your best intercessor prayer partner, pastor girlfriend, can't be reached and she done dropped her cell phone in the bathtub and it don't work, you're not in a panic, because you know that you've taught yourself by way of God how to minister to yourself to the point that you know now that you can make it. So alone is not a bad thing. Alone sometimes is a good thing, because it teaches you how to bring yourself to another level of maturity.
We're News and Talk 1380 WAOK 404-892-2703. Dr. Juanitabynum on News and Talk